First Spoons record I got was the EP, which would have been 82.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was a series of albums that came.
Heart.
Noble Heart. Yeah. And then there were a series of albums that came after that. So you guys have been around, 35 years anyway.
40 next year.
40.
40.
Yeah,
We're like Rush.
Yeah,
Seriously, we're Spinal Tap, one of the two.
Exactly. Yeah, but you guys always went up to 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this new material.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but I'm so proud of this thing. It's got a bit of everything. Like it's got like the early punky days on it. It's got the Arias type stuff. It's got the Nile Rodgers funky stuff on it. It's got the big grand opening and closing thing. It's got all the elements of what we've been known for.
How much do you guys?
over 40 years.
Over 40 years. How much do you guys play live these days?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, especially at summer festivals, casinos, theaters,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Right.
And of course, we're going to be supporting the new album coming out March 23rd.
23rd.
23rd. Okay.
At the where there was the Great Hall in Toronto.
Do you remember a Pepsi gig with Flock of Seagulls?
Yes.
I remember that because Pepsi was not happy because the signature haircut,
Was not there.
which was in the ads, the guy takes a sip and his hair sprouts, right? Well, the singer, who I now work with, is looking a little different. He's matured. So that's
You mean
fine.
he doesn't have the same look
Not,
all
not
these
the
years?
same hair. The signature haircut is now,
Expect
Yeah,
definitely
signature.
crowd hair.
Was that show at the Opera House?
yes.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. I remember you guys came on, big crowd for your set, and you went through the whole thing. Flock of Seagulls comes on, there's no hair, and they had turned into this industrial metal band.
I know they had. That's exactly what I was going to say. Even us, we think, yeah, I'm a big Flock fan. There's like you say, heavy guy with Marshall Stack, and it was completely a different band.
Yeah.
Now, you know that I play with them now, right? Did you know
No.
that? I'm a guitar player with them over the last year.
Yes, that's what I told you on the last episode. Do you not watch your own
I
show?
don't listen to you.
Listen, we've toured
Listen
everywhere.
to the
went,
geek.
Last year we went to Europe. We did a big 80s tour all across through the States, the arena tour, headlining the Lost 80s tour. And you know what? The old sound is back. I got rid of the old guys. Forget that. Back to JC 120s, Firebird guitars, little pedals. It's just like the old days again.
For Flock of Seagulls, the old sound. Forget this
Bet.
industrial
Oh,
crap.
I worked right on it. I got right on that right away.
So then at what point are you going to work on the next level, which has to be the haircuts?
Is there enough hair left?
Maybe you can take some of mine.
Yeah.
No, he actually looks very cool. He's completely shaved it now, but he's got this sort of spaceman look, which is really working well.
Mike,
Score.
Score. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I just had this heart attack that we weren't recording this conversation. We've all had that radio moment where you look down in the middle of an interview and you forgot to put a tape in the machine or you forgot to hit play record.
You know my story, right?
Hook us up.
I had 30 minutes, one-on-one, face-to-face, undivided attention from David Bowie. And I forgot to unpause the tape machine.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Now, we could only talk about Tin Machine, so it's not like we lost a whole lot of really important stuff. But still,
Yeah.
I remember, he was as close to me as I am to you right now, and he's looking at me with the weird eye and the bad teeth, and I'm thinking,
The weird eye and the bad teeth. What do you mean? I don't know about this.
and I'm thinking, I'm not paying attention because that's Ziggy Stardust, that's Aladdin Sane,
crazy.
that's David Bowie, he's right there.
Greatest regrets ever, I bet. Aw.
And don't worry, I'll hear what he's saying when I listen to the tape later. Right now, I'm just completely starstruck. Don't worry, it's on tape.
man.
And it wasn't.
Oh no.
What was the craziest tour story you guys ever had along those lines? Or were you guys always perfect in the last 40 years?
Never.
Oh,
No.
no.
Everything that happens in Spinal Tap, as people have told you, happens in real life.
And it
That's why we
does,
didn't
yeah.
laugh when we watched the movie, because it's real. Yeah, well, whatever. That happens every day. But the biggest things, I would say, when you tour with a larger band, especially in the States, big arena tour, they usually do a hazing thing at the end, like a farewell. That's probably the crazy stories we had. And it was right around Spinal Tap. We were touring with Survivor. We just finished with Human League, which makes sense. Survivor, but you know what? They're doing arenas. So we come out, and I can't even tell you all the stuff they did to us, including the band and the crew dressing in big bunny outfits and with whips and going at Sandy on stage. People thought it was a Tubes concert. They thought it was an extravaganza. But the best part is they actually did, this during the movie, they made a little Stonehenge, and they lowered it down during the end of the set. The audience didn't even get it yet, but we did. Yeah.
Wow.
That's Survivor.
So you guys are working on the new album coming out mid-March.
Done.
Yes, it's just basically done and going to manufacturing, and it's called New Day, New World.
So I suppose now the real work kind of begins because you got to promote this thing.
Yep.
Oh no, the work's over. I get so stressed making albums. Like for me, it's like it's the last minute, right? When it's done, you let it go, and you're like,
What's
whatever
the
happens.
stress of making an album for you?
It's like, I guess, like a movie maker. You have an idea, right? But to get it to that end point, you got to go through so many hurdles and changes, and hopefully come back where the original idea started, and that's tough, you know.
I guess it's difficult. You have an idea at the beginning, and so many other fingerprints end up on a project that you have to sort of step back at some points and recognize you're not making all the decisions.
Yeah.
No, and this has been kind of an ongoing process. We started 2 of the songs from the album about 2 years ago. So it's been a very slow process, and I'm glad we waited. We were going to rush it and try and get it out last summer, but within that we came up with 2
the last songs
yeah,
out
the
of the
last
best,
2 songs
And
were the best.
we have a really tight group. Like it's pretty well just Sandy and I. We have other guys in the band, but they weren't that involved. And Jeff Carter is producer, and he did a lot of programming stuff. So the 3 of us are just a really good unit to get it done.
Okay, final question. Speaking of producers, tell me a Nile Rodgers story.
The Rodgers story.
Oh my God. Well, he's a different guy now than he was back in the 80s. Now he's the most humble, sweet man in the world. Back then, he was Mr. Cool. He walked in wearing a 3-piece suit in New York City. He was like right out of Shaft or something, right? He had like that look, a lot of arrogance and cool, but he deserved it, right? And but the coolest story, I would say, when we went down to do the album, he'd just been working with Bowie.
Yeah, so Let's Dance.
Yeah. So I flew down early to go see Bowie. I mean, him working with Bowie, because I didn't care about Nile. I thought like what they call Le Freak, and it wasn't my thing. But he's working with Bowie, so I'm gonna go down, I'll hang out, check it out, and get to see Bowie. Same like, so I'm sitting there, and they're recording, and I'm looking at the door the whole time, waiting for Bowie to show up. Never showed up. Meanwhile, all day long, there's a guy playing guitar all day long beside me. I couldn't care less because I'm waiting for Bowie. It was Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stupid. But he wasn't that well known quite yet, so.
Okay, so
and I had Mick Jagger open the door at the power station for me. So that was
That's
cool.
even better.
Yeah.
at least he was a gentleman about it.
Yes, he was.
And Mick Jagger's even shorter than you, isn't he?
Oh, he's about my height, actually.
They're all small.
Yes, all of us successful types.
Yes.
We're really small
Yes.
compared to others.
Yes, okay.
Okay, he said last question, but I'm the Big Spoons nerd here.
Okay.
And one of my all-time favorite songs, Hand to God, Nova Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time when it came out, and even further on, actually, I'm kind of lying when I say at the time it came out, because I was never cool enough to listen to it when it came out. But the idea of architects of the world.
Yes.
You wrote those lyrics at a time before you became an architect of the world and had an opportunity to change that world. Do the lyrics change
You're really
for you
a deep
now?
thinker, aren't you?
I'm trying.
Well, you know what? That is such an uncool, un-rock and roll way to start a song. But that was the 80s, right? It was kind of all suburban and angular and kind of uncool in a way, like Talking Heads and all those guys, their lyrics, right? And we're admired. And the other thing is, I only realized this years later, before I was going to be a musician, growing up as a kid, I thought I was going to be an architect. So it had to creep in somewhere, I guess.
Ah, okay.
It could have started, I'll be a dentist of the world or something. Good thing it wasn't.
No, it was architects. Good thing you didn't become an architect.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I've always wanted to be on stage.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been on stage since I was 5, modeling, dancing, the whole 9 yards.
Ever since
so.
Judy Garland, right?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I saw Judy Garland. I said, I want to do what she's doing.
What, drugs?
No, no, not
No,
that
not drugs.
part.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
No, being on stage,
Oh,
singing,
okay,
performing. I just
okay.
didn't know how I was going to get there. Playing bass was not. I didn't go, hey, I want to be a bass
How many
player.
female bass players were there? There was you and Tina Weymouth,
That's pretty much it.
and
And
whoever played in the Runaways.
And what's her name? King, isn't it King?
King?
No, her last name. I'm trying to think. She did a lot of the theme songs. She's an older
Oh,
woman.
she was in the wrecking crew, the cutting crew.
Right, yeah.
She's
And that's
brilliant.
it. So we got 4.
Yeah.
She was the coolest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought chicks with guitars were always the hottest guitarists.
Oh, thank you.
But listen, back in the 70s and early 80s, it was. Did you deal with a lot of sexism when it came to?
A little bit, because I was considered token. She really can't play.
She can
Someone
play.
must
She
be
can play.
playing. Someone's playing her parts behind stage.
What are you playing now? What guitar?
Bass. I'm playing a Specter Bass. It's
That's
actually.
a cool story. You're the only female. What is? Tell the story.
Okay. Spectre started in the late 70s, and in '86 they sold to Kramer, and they kind of went public, and they weren't being handmade anymore. So I have 2 basses selling to Kramer, and then they eventually got it back because apparently Kramer made a mess of everything. So I have the basses, and because I started playing the bass, Nile Rodgers introduced it to me because Bernard Edwards played it.
Sting played them.
I'm now the longest standing only Specter player. Like
You're like on their roster, like the
Yeah, I'm
female
on
cover
their-
girl or something.
Yeah.
There's Specter Basses.
Have you seen Getty Lee's book?
No.
Getty's big, beautiful book of bass.
Oh, okay.
It's I can't remember how many pictures, like 2,600 pictures of his bass collection, and he has things like, okay, so this Fender Jazz from '52 was only one of 3 made with stainless steel knobs, and it has a particular type of headstock. So he got really, really geeky about it, and he says, well, I have a '52 Jazz, so I need a '53 and a '54 and a '55. And at one point he had something like 300 basses in his house, and he made this giant coffee table book of it, and it's fantastic. Get it. Amazon, $65.
I'm a gear nut, so I would go for it.
He's a member of the Amazon Prime program, so he's going to get a cut of that.
Okay, so that was all about Fender, but I've only ever seen him play Rickenbackers.
Well, no,
so.
No, he's got the Fender signature Geddy Lee bass, right?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
He collects everything. I mean, I talked to him and he said, when I collect things, I get a little stupid. I collected Negro Baseball League baseballs. And then he collects wine, and then he got into this whole bass thing. One of his roadies introduced him to something. He
collects money too.
He collects money. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
It's great having you with us.
Awesome.